Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We will talk about bilingualism in this video, which is Unit 3, Block 6 of MEG 4 Aspects of Language. In the previous video, we discussed about speech community and defined speech community in a broader sense, that is, in a bilingual and multilingual society. Now we will know bilingualism in a more detailed way. First, we will start with what is bilingualism. The word bi means two and lingua means language. So bilingualism means the ability to use two languages. For example, a person who speaks Telugu and English, Hindi and English, or Tamil and Malayalam, all these people are bilingual. A bilingual person can understand, speak, read or write two languages with some level of proficiency. Why is bilingualism common in India? Because India has many languages. We speak our mother tongue at home. In school we learn English. While traveling we may use Hindi. In offices many people use English. So many Indians naturally become bilingual or even multilingual. Now, use of two languages is bilingualism, while the use of more than two languages is multilingualism. But bilingualism is often used broadly for situations involving two or more languages as well. We can say bilingualism usually refers to an individual, while multilingualism often refers to a country or society. For example, India has many languages, so India is a multilingual country. Now, who is called a bilingual? Does a person need to speak both languages perfectly, or is simply using two languages is enough? Different linguists answered this question differently. Leonard Bloomfield's definition is bilingualism is a native-like control of two languages. Means a person is bilingual only if he or she speaks both languages almost like a native speaker. The limitation is that the definition is too strict. Uriel Weinreich, he defined that bilingualism is the practice of using two languages simultaneously. This definition is more practical because it focuses on actual language use. For example, a student speaks Kannada at home, uses English in college. Arsenian's definition, that is, bilingualism is the simultaneous learning of two languages. It focuses on how languages are learned from early childhood. The limitation is many languages are learned during their later part of the life, like in schools or colleges, not just from childhood. This definition does not include learning in later part of the life. So Diebold's definition. According to Diebold, bilingualism is the ability to use two languages in the environment of the native language. He says that even limited ability to use another language counts as bilingualism. Like if you can communicate in another language whenever needed, you are bilingual. All these definitions are correct, but each looks at bilingualism from a different angle. Bloomfield focuses on proficiency. Weinreich focuses on use. Arsenian focuses on learning. Diebold focuses on ability. Now, how does a person become bilingual? For this, three questions are to be answered. That is, when and under what circumstances do we learn a second language? This means at what age and in what circumstances? The first question is this. People may learn at different stages. Early childhood, that is, a child learns two languages naturally. Telugu with the mother and Hindi with the father. Now at the school age, many children learn English when they start school. At home they speak Telugu, in school they speak English. This is the most common situation in India. In the adult age, some people learn another language later because of higher education, jobs, migration or travel. So learning a language at an early age is generally easier than learning it later in life because young children acquire languages more naturally. So this is the first question, that is, when and under what circumstances do we learn a second language? The second question is, why do people learn a language, second language? This is called motivation. People do not learn it without any reason. Some common reasons are education. Students learn English to study English school and college subject. Employment. Many companies expect employees to know English or another language. Communication. If you move to another state, learning the local language helps you to communicate very easily. Now, prestige. Sometimes people learn a language because it is associated with higher social status, success. Now, another last question is, how does society help us learn L2? Society plays a very important role. If people around us speak the language, we learn it faster. For example, a child studying in an English medium school hears English from teachers, speaks English with the classmates, reads English books, watches English related educational videos. Because the environment supports learning, the child learns English more easily and very quickly. So similarly, it applies to any other regional language also. So we can say that becoming a bilingual is not just about individual effort. It also depends on the age at which L2 is learned, the motivation to learn it, and the social environment that supports learning. Now we have learned how a person becomes bilingual, but not every bilingual speaks two languages with the same level of proficiency. Some people know only a little while others speak both languages almost equally well. So therefore bilingualism is a matter of degree. According to UNESCO, bilingualism is not an all or nothing phenomenon. It is a relative state. It means a person does not have to know two languages perfectly to be bilingual. There are different levels of bilingualism, that is incipient or beginner level. For example, an incipient bilingual is someone who has just started learning a second language. He or she has only basic knowledge and he depends on the first language and translates word by word. For example, a class 1 student has just begun learning English. If the teacher asks, what is ghoda in English? The child thinks for a moment and answers horse. The child first thinks in the mother tongue and then translates into English. Next is subordinate bilingual. A subordinate bilingualism knows more of the second language than a beginner, but still depends on the mother tongue. Now here the L1 is stronger than L2. Understanding happens through translation and it is quite common among school learners. A little bit a level ahead of incipient or beginner level. Subordinate level is a little ahead of incipient level, that's it. But no major difference. Now coordinate bilingual. A coordinate bilingual keeps the two languages separate in the mind. There is no need to translate. The person understands each language directly. Now compound bilingualism. That is, a compound bilingual has very high proficiency in both languages. Both languages feel natural. The person can think, speak, read and write comfortably in either language. Now bilingual ability, we can say, develops from beginner to expert level. Now we will come to the functioning as a bilingual in our day-to-day life. We will know how a bilingual person uses two languages in different situations and for different purposes. Purposes of using the second language are education, that is learning, reading, etc. Employment, communication, whether it is formal or informal. Government and administration, that is government officers may use the official language of the state. A bilingual person can communicate easily in such situations. Now social interaction. Now for functioning as a lawyer, doctor and engineer, that is at the professional level. And next is for access to print and electronic media. These are all the purposes of functioning as a bilingual. Now we have domains of language use. That is, we discussed about the purpose. Next is the situation. What is domain? A domain is a social situation where a particular language is used. For example, the common domains: home. At home we usually use mother tongue. Next, neighborhood, school or college, workplace, trade and commerce. People use whichever language helps them to communicate with the shopkeeper. Religious places, languages such as Sanskrit, Arabic or any other regional language may be used depending on the religion and place. So these are all domains. So we can say functioning as a bilingual means using the right language in the right place and for the right purpose. Now we will come to consequences of bilingualism. Consequences can be at 3 levels: at the individual level, on the social group, and consequences on L1 and L2. Consequences for the individual. Earlier, bilingualism was believed to be some kind of a hindrance to learning process, but now it is not seen as an obstacle, but rather it develops an individual's personality and enriches a person's linguistic repertoire while making his communication versatile. Now he or she becomes more receptive to a varied cultural conventions and customs. It increases a person's reach in terms of information and knowledge. That is, his access to information and knowledge increases. The individual becomes more broad-minded, open-minded, tolerant, and his awareness also increases. Now we will know the consequences for the bilingual group or the social group. Society, through its institutional and social norms, gives different functional roles to both the languages. For example, people may use one language for a particular set of functions and other languages for other set of functions. If the functions are in some kind of hierarchical order, one language may come to be regarded as high and the other language may be regarded as low. In such a situation, the two languages are said to be in diglossic relationship. But usually L1 and L2 are given equal value and support. Institutional support is given to the two languages and equal opportunities are there for the growth, spread and development of both the languages L1 and L2. Such social groups are in stable societal bilingualism. Now we will know the consequences for L1 and L2. Taking into account the existence of both L1 and L2 in a system and the linguistic repertoire of bilinguals, there will be consequence on L1 and L2 as well. L1 and L2 may undergo structural changes at the level of sound, syntax, vocabulary and semantics. In due course of time, only one language will be the language of education, prestige, status, opportunity, while the other language may not be associated with these. Now, code switching, that is switching from L1 and L2, and code mixing, that is mixing of two languages, can take place. When this takes place, this may lead to development of new code or language. When institutional support is given to L1 and L2 equally, it may be taken as an unwanted burden for the government. But however, it's very useful. And another problem is when L2 is viewed as a language of power, prestige and opportunity, this may lead to negative attitude towards L1, which in turn may lead to partial or total loss of L1. For example, the speakers of minor Indian languages versus major Indian languages, or major Indian languages versus English. So on the whole, we can conclude that to conclude this topic, in this topic we learnt meaning of bilingualism. That is the ability to use two languages. Then we talked about different definitions given by different linguists. Then we came to know how does a person become bilingual. That is, it develops through age, motivation and supportive environment. Next we came to know about different types of bilinguals. That is, bilinguals differ in proficiency from beginning to native like speaking. Then came functioning as bilingual, like how do bilinguals use their two languages in the real life for different purposes in different domains. Then we talked about consequences of bilingualism, that is on the individual level, on society. This brings many benefits to individuals and society. That is, bilingualism brings benefits to individuals as well as society. And the consequences on L1 and L2 also we discussed. That is, balanced support to both L1 and L2 ensures harmony, growth and respect for linguistic diversity. So I hope this video has helped you understand bilingualism, though in a very detailed way, but in a simple and clear manner. If you found this video useful and helpful, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you for watching.